All right, welcome back, everybody. Episode 9. This week's overview we're going to do on SMI, bring everybody up to speed on why Denny was so mad. We'll recap Martinsville, talk about who stood out, get into Drop the Green Bets, see where Spencer's got us money-wise, do some Texas predictions, and close with stupid questions. My name's Austin.
My name's Spencer.
Let's drop the green.
Trees, hard land, I'm missing you. Guitar playing through the night, it felt pretty good, I'm feeling alright. Good as one for the price of two. It's been a long time gone since the truth's been told, and I've seen my own. Hey, cut us low. Come on, save my soul. We play a bar guitar and honky tonk.
All right back into it, episode 9. As always, we're going to talk about who we are dedicating this episode to. So, episode 9, Spencer, who is your episode 9 edition?
My episode 9 edition was a tough one this week, because I knew a lot of number 9 drivers, as always.
Right.
But I went with the best one to ever sit in the 9 seat.
Okay.
And that would be my boy, Chase Elliott.
Right. Of course
Yes.
you did. Of course you did.
Yep. And there's a couple things about Chase that's honestly were kind of surprising as I was doing some research on him. Pretty much he was the youngest to do practically everything. For being, not everything, but he
Okay,
did.
I'm with you. Go ahead.
Okay, so he was the youngest to win at Kansas, Dover, and Darlington. That's pretty cool. I mean,
Darlington's pretty impressive.
yeah,
Pretty
Darlington
impressive,
and Kansas, Dover, maybe
Yeah.
not,
Yeah.
but
Dover's a tough one, too.
Dover is a tough one. The youngest to win in ARCA in 2013
Okay.
at the ripe age of 18.
Wow.
Yeah, 18 wins, 155 top 10s, 12 poles. 2014 Rookie of the Year in, I'm guessing that was the Xfinity Series nationwide.
20, yeah, because his rookie season in Cup would have been 2016.
16, yeah, he
Yep.
won Rookie of the Year that year.
Nice.
The MPD 2018
Yeah.
through 2023.
For whatever that's worth.
Yeah, I mean it's got to be worth something.
It's
and then,
it's an award for sure.
yeah, it's an award, and then now you got to give it to him, dude. This is a Hall of Famer we're talking about,
'Cause he's a
2020 champion. Yeah,
Bubble championship.
yeah. I mean, still.
Isn't that what they called it in the NBA?
Yeah.
It was a bubble championship.
Mm-hmm.
Did you look at all into why he's number 9 or when he started number 9?
No, I did not. The biggest things that I wrote down were the biggest name in the sport
For
by
sure.
far.
Yeah.
Everyone kind of knows who Chase is. And then the other thing was his rich family history. That's
Yes.
just, I mean, no offense to him. I'm not saying he doesn't have talent, because clearly he's got some, but he didn't do it the hard way.
No,
You know,
and he was signed to Hendrick. I'm pretty sure I'm correct on this when he was like 14.
yeah.
Development type deal, and he was a late model phenom. Now he had the absolute best late model equipment too,
Mhm.
but you still got to drive it. So the only thing, since it is episode 9, and we're doing our episode 9 edition, I did want to say that Chase started in 2016 and 2017 in the Cup Series in the 24 car.
That's
So I didn't-
right.
Yeah. So
That's
he
good.
was he was the number 24 car, and didn't get any. And not that this is any correlation, but he did not win his rookie season or the year after.
Okay.
Now he had 1,000,000 second place finishes, and I guess I don't know. It was probably more of a branding thing
Mm-hmm.
because Bill was obviously number 9,
Mhm.
right? That was his number for much of his career, and so Chase grew up always running the number 9. Because of his dad, so it was just as much Chase's number as Bill's number.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know why they decided to do it. Maybe just to, like I said, build the brand a little bit. But Chase in 2018, they put Willie B in his rookie year in the 24, put Chase in the 9, and then I'm trying to think of what number they would have had to get rid of to do this. They had the 48. I don't know why I'm blanking on that. You might have to help me. What number would they? Oh, I'm sorry. They got rid of the number 5.
Yeah.
Because Casey Kane was in the Casey Kane, who we'll get to. He was in the number 5. They got rid of the number 5, number 5 ends up coming back.
Yes.
But yeah, they kind of did some weird stuff, flipping people's numbers around. But yeah, so Chase ran the 24 for 2 years and did not get a win. He got his first win in 2018 in the 9 car. Ended up winning 3 times that year.
That's crazy.
So, but yeah, anything else on the greatest to ever do it, I guess?
Hey, he's still going. He's probably going to win another championship with the way it is.
I'm wondering if he'll win another race. To be honest.
Honestly, that was one thing that I wish I would have went back and looked at. Do you know the last race he won?
2022, because he won 5 races in 2022. It would have. I'm not even sure what race it would have been, but he won 5 times. He really won 4 times that year. But you remember Denny got DQ'd.
Yeah.
So they gave the record book will always say 5, but yeah, he has not won. I remember they kind of started hot the beginning half of 2022 and then went down. So it's been a long time
for him after ripping off. I mean, granted, it's not that unordinary to have this problem, but when he was in the Cup Series for 2 years, 3 years, no wins.
2 years, no wins.
2 years, no wins, and then
he's won multiple races every year since.
Yeah,
then.
So 2023, we'll give it to him. He had a injury, so he missed half of them races. But this year he has no excuse, and he's still not getting it done.
No, and he was on Dale Jr.'s podcast and said that he cannot figure this car out, and he said he got all those wins in 22. Because nobody could figure the car. It was so new, and they just kind of not lucked into him, but he was able to drive the car the way he used to drive the Gen 6 car and get away with it. And now everybody's caught up, and he just can't. Similar to Kyle Busch. I mean, I think they're just battling.
Exactly.
They're battling the car. But all right, well that's interesting. I'm going to take kind of a different approach. When I think of the number 9, I think of Casey Kane.
Okay.
So I think we got a picture of his car up here that I just wanted you to pull up. So a little bit about him. Born April 10th, 1980. Somehow today is his birthday. We did not. we did not. I know we did not plan this at all.
That's crazy.
But I just want to talk about his time in the number 9 car. But a little bit of a backstory. So he's from Washington State.
Okay.
I don't know of any other NASCAR driver from that. I mean, Greg Biffle's from maybe Oregon, maybe even Washington, but I don't know of any real race car drivers that are household names that we know from that area. But he grew up racing 410 sprint cars. So
heck yeah.
Real man shit.
Yep.
In 2000, he went to Pennsylvania, which is a big sprint car area, and won one of their crown jewel races. Ends up getting an offer to drive for Steve Lewis. It was a name I didn't know. But looking into Steve Lewis, he was a car owner for people like Jeff Gordon back in the day.
Okay.
Tony Stewart, Jason Leffler, Steve Kinzer. And so obviously this guy isn't hiring slouches, right?
Of course not.
So continues to just do really, really great things in the dirt world. 2002 comes to Charlotte, does Xfinity part-time. 2003 goes full-time Xfinity and finishes 7th in points and wins Homestead. So everyone's like, damn, this kid. Also, if anybody was a fan back then, will remember this is like one of the best looking guys you've ever seen.
Just
like
absolutely gorgeous.
In the most heterosexual way possible. That was
gay.
This is a beautiful man. And women went crazy over him.
Really?
Crazy.
He was you think he did a better job of capturing the women fan base than Chase does?
So what's funny about him is this. You got to remember, this was a different time. He was not outspoken. He was in commercials and stuff just because NASCAR was big, but he was not one to like put himself out there. I feel like Ryan Blaney, who's kind of our new, heartthrob for women.
Yeah,
he does.
It's him
more,
or Chase.
Yeah,
sure.
He does more now than Casey did back then. But the sport was so big that Casey just showed up and was a good-looking dude. And,
okay,
dude, I'm telling you, women went crazy over Casey Kane. And he came back for the 75th greatest drivers last year.
Yeah,
it looked like he was still 25 years old. And this dude was born in 1980. I mean,
yeah, he's got
I don't know how he's doing it.
Yeah.
But so kind of to jump into this car, so Dodge came back into the sport and they kind of headhunted Ray Evernham, who was Jeff Gordon's crew chief.
Mm-hmm.
So they did Evernham Motorsports. So if you look at this, all the Evernham cars had this little thing on the 9.
Okay.
So if you have a good imagination, that's an E
Yes.
for Evernham
Yes.
Motorsports.
It almost, if you can't see it well on the screen, which I don't know if you can if you're watching or if you're just listening, it is like an E. They're more pointed, almost kind of like flames, maybe.
Yeah, it's real racy.
Yeah.
It's real racy.
Yeah.
But
that's
yeah.
what we're looking at. That's what Austin's talking about.
Yeah,
right now.
so when I think of the 9, even though Chase has his own font or whatever, I always think of like the shit coming out of the top. Just 'cause it just looks so cool to me. But that was all the Evernham cars had that. Whether
had that incorporated.
yeah,
somewhere.
whether there's the 9, the 19, the 91, or the 10, they all had this hanging off the back number.
Where did the 10 have it?
It was like,
On the 0?
imagine like a 0 like this, and then just
Yeah.
randomly, just randomly hanging out the back. So Bill Elliott, when Dodge came back, they got Bill Elliott to drive for Evernham, and he picked the 9, obviously, and he actually won a few races. He was old too, won a few races. Huge testament to not only Bill Elliott but Ray Evernham to get Bill Elliott into victory lane.
Yeah.
At this time in his career. But Bill was kind of on his way out, so they made a plan that in 2004, Casey would take this car over. Still sponsored by Dodge, still the number 9. So I've got this diecast here. This is actually Bill Elliott's diecast, all red. And Casey mostly drove this red and white. Even when he drove it red, there's a little bit of design to it. But, yeah, so that was Bill Elliott's car.
Why is... Maybe I'm...
I think that was like out of a cereal box, so don't pick it apart too much.
Okay. No,
Yeah. This is not a like legitimate diecast.
I understand that.
Yeah,
I wasn't trying to do that. I was just the 9s on both sides were throwing me off a little bit. If you kind of
Okay.
I don't know.
I'm not sure what you're talking about.
I know. Go ahead. Sorry.
So anyway, so Casey comes in, kind of this phenom. 2004, like I said, he took over for Bill, rookie year. Had a decent year. I think he was like 13th in points. Nothing crazy, but pretty damn good.
Yeah, that's
2005, he wins his first race. Finishes like 23rd in points.
okay.
So the definitions of checkers or wreckers. So we get into. I'm not gonna go year by year. I promise. I can see your face. You're like, oh my god.
No.
So 2006 is the one I really, really want to talk about.
Mhm.
6 wins. 6 wins in 2006. I mean, I remember watching it. It was like, this dude's not going to stop winning.
Oh my god.
And just lit the world on fire. Really, really strong on mile and a half. Charlotte was like his playground. I don't know why, but Charlotte was just his thing. So kind of to get into, his exit of Evernham and the 9 cars. So Evernham went through this whole debacle. This could be a whole other overview, but Ray Evernham got caught cheating on his wife with a development driver named Aaron Crocker, who is at least 20 years younger than him. He's married to her now.
What a
Yeah,
scandal. What a scandal.
So
that's just swept under the rug, really.
Yeah, kind of. Now it is.
I mean,
now it is.
I've never heard that. You know what I mean?
Oh, dude, it was such a big. And it was like Jeremy Mayfield, who was also racing for Evernham, kind of brought it to light.
Okay.
And then then Jeremy got, when we get into episode 19, because I'll do Jeremy Mayfield.
We'll save it.
So Evernham starts going downhill. They merge with Petty Motorsports, Richard Petty Motorsports. He's still getting a few wins here and there, but nothing like these days with the straight Evernham days, with all the innovation Ray had. Long story short, at the end of 2010, he ends up getting released from his contract with 5 races remaining. Now, he already had some things in work. It's not like they were mad at him, but he had some things in the works. So 2010 was his last year in the 9 car. And then he raced the remaining 5 races at Red Bull Racing. So Red Bull used to have a cup team too.
That's super cool, honestly.
And then we'll get into it another time, but he had already signed a development deal with Hendrick, or not a development deal. I'm sorry. He had already signed a contract with Hendrick, but Hendrick didn't have a spot for him. So in 2011, it would have been, he did like a kind of layover year with Red Bull. So he went to Red Bull in a Toyota and raced a year, knowing that 2012 he was going to come to Hendrick in the 5 car.
Okay.
But Hendrick had to wait for a year to sign him. Yeah, just crazy stuff that doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah,
But,
they couldn't
so-
just buy him out. Like,
Yeah, it just didn't work like that. And that's
Okay.
kind of the time when Mark Martin was still there. We talked about
Yeah,
Mark Martin
yeah.
before, where he's like,
Mhm.
I'm going to keep going. And that made Brad go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Well, Casey was willing to wait and take that gap year with Toyota. He actually won a race with Red Bull Racing that year. But yeah, so from 2004 to 2010, Casey ran this 9 car. So when I think the 9 car, I think this car right here.
I mean, that's a beautiful car.
It's a beautiful car, just so simple.
Like these, I don't know this era as well, but this
That'd be a Gen 4.
Gen 4, did all the Gen 4s have this, like, you see this, like, dip I'm talking about
Yeah,
right
yeah.
here?
So that was the big Ray Evernham thing. Not to get too
Dude,
deep into it, but
yeah.
when Ray Evernham was like, "I'm gonna come in. Here's our body."
Yeah.
He knew aero. He knew cars. He's like, "Well, I want to dip it out." And then you
Yeah.
see other manufacturers like the Monte Carlo even got dipped out a little bit
It
too.
did. It did.
Yeah.
It didn't start like that,
And
though, I
this is
feel
the-
like.
no. And this is the Twisted Sister era. So this car, if you looked at it from the front, is all
Yes.
just discombobulated.
Dude,
man.
it's literally like the Arca car.
yes,
yeah.
which
And
all those ARCA cars are old Gen 4 cars.
yeah, they're old Gen
Yeah.
4 cars, and again, I said it before, but I've raced these on iRacing. Dude, one of the hardest cars to
can
drive.
imagine.
It
I can
is
imagine.
the horsepower you have is unreal. Those Arca cars will go 200 miles an hour if you
Yeah.
want them to, and then when you get in the corner, if you brake, you're sliding.
Yeah.
I mean you're
You
sliding.
had to wheel it back then. You had to wheel
Yes,
it.
you really did. And so just to see this car, I mean, with all these sponsors on it, it's nostalgic for sure.
Yeah.
You know, it's just
And
a beautiful
and
car.
Dodge came back in with a mission. I mean, they came in and sponsored not only
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
they
you don't
sponsor
see
the
that. You
car.
don't see that.
Yeah.
Chevy does not sponsor.
No, the only time they
anything.
will is like in the Truck and Xfinity series when they really need money or they're
Yes.
just trying to promote somebody.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
they can just put their name on it. But Dodge was. That's what's so funny now is Dodge doesn't want to come back in, and they were 110% back in the day.
They were in it.
They were in it.
That's so cool.
But,
Hey,
yeah,
I
and-
wish they'd come back.
I wish they would too.
Yeah.
And Casey was he was really good for him. Real quick, we'll get off him, but he is still racing to this day. He retired.
Does he race sprint cars?
He's raced the sprint cars
Sprint
in
cars.
Kyle Larson's series.
No way.
Yeah.
That's
So
cool.
and he's always owned a sprint car series, or I'm sorry, a sprint car team. And his driver Brad Sweet is one of the top sprint car drivers of all time.
That's so
honestly.
cool.
Yeah. And Brad Sweet is Kyle Larson's brother-in-law.
So again, not to keep going, but I just have a question about
Yeah,
it.
go
Like,
ahead.
so you from Washington State?
Mm-hmm.
Did they have? To me, up there, it's all wet all the time. No way he raced that much dirt up there. And
I
then,
mean, sprint cars are really big out west. Now, I don't know if that means in Washington or if he
Yeah.
was traveling, but, that's where Kyle Larson's from.
yeah,
Brad Sweet.
Mhm.
There's more, too. Jeff Gordon was a big sprint car guy.
okay,
So it's kind of like out west in California and Midwest, like Indiana. Those are your two hotspot sprint car places.
which is so wild that they decide to adopt sprint cars more than late models, because around here, that's what
late
everyone
models are king
drives.
around here, yeah.
Everybody drives
Yeah.
a late model in
Yeah.
East Tennessee.
And then you go east in North Carolina, closer to Charlotte. It's pavement late models.
yeah, it's pavement
You know
late
what I mean?
models.
It's all-
yeah, it's the Denny's.
That's one thing
Yeah,
to get off on a tangent. Like, I would love to see a map. I'm really interested in maps. Like, here's a map of the U.S. and here's the most popular racing.
that would be.
And
that
it'd be
would
like the
cool.
Northeast would probably be modifieds.
Had to be.
Down where we're at, it would be probably dirt late models.
Yep.
Late model stocks in the Carolinas,
Mhm.
all sprint cars out west. I mean, it's just,
Yeah.
but yeah. So I'm sure there's sprint cars and dirt tracks out in Washington State, but he's probably going down into Northern California too.
Mhm.
Northern California is a hot spot for
Okay.
sprint cars as well.
Okay.
But yeah, he's still racing. Casey Kane racing. Like I said, Brad Sweet races for him. Really, really good driver. And Casey Kane's full time in the high limit series right now.
Wow. So they have. So he has two drivers, him and Brad Sweet.
Him and Brad Sweet. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
He's
Wow.
a cool dude. Like I said, he's kind of nothing. I didn't look up his total wins, but I know he had 10 at Evernham. Probably had a handful more at Hendrick. So nothing too crazy,
Yeah.
but definitely a respectable dude. Like, never really a championship threat, I don't think. But he came in and he got it done.
Yeah, I mean, you had definitely had to watch out for him. He was a contender.
did,
It
yeah.
sounded like he was a contender anyway.
Yeah,
like,
he was a contender for sure.
Yeah, sounds like kind of like what Ross is right now.
Yes,
almost
exactly.
like hey, he may have the 13th best car, but you better watch him.
Yep.
He's going to be hard to pass if he's getting lapped.
Yep.
So
I'd compare him to like a Ross or like even an Alex Bowman.
yeah,
Where like he's either winning or we just kind of forget he's there.
exactly. Yeah,
So,
that's
but
awesome.
episode 9 we'll do Chase Elliott, Casey Kane edition.
Let's go.
Let's get into our overview. So I picked SMI. What do you know about SMI, or is there Speedway Motorsports?
Yes. So the first thing that I wrote down when you said SMI, and that would be the symbol. And I don't know. Here, I'll make this a little bigger for you guys at home. But that right there, that signal was an SMI track. And so
Yep.
when I first started watching, you would see that everywhere, and it was never really explained to me
No.
personally of what that meant, because like first track I went to was Bristol, and you see it everywhere at Bristol, and then the second track I went to was Atlanta, and you saw it everywhere at Atlanta. I've been to Kentucky, you saw it everywhere there, and then I think like the fourth or fifth race I went to was Talladega, and you didn't see it. And so as like a fan that wasn't as into it as I am now, was kind of just like didn't realize what that was signifying, and
Yeah.
that is I guess it would be a private,
yeah.
a brand, a private
Yeah.
owner of NASCAR tracks
Yeah.
that they go to. So
when I was just real quick,
Mhm.
when I was little, like the NFL has their red, white, and blue
yes,
logo, the
Mhm.
PGA, and the
NFL,
NBA.
yeah, yeah,
But like, and then like the NBA, it's like a guy.
yeah. It's got
Duncan,
shooting.
PGA, it's
Yep,
somebody. But I thought this was NASCAR's like that.
You would believe
That's what I
that.
thought
Yes,
because growing up,
100%.
I was the same way. I'm
You
wearing
go
a
to
hat
Texas,
right now
yeah, that has
that
it on
has it.
there. Yeah.
So that's what I thought, but it's not NASCAR.
No, you
It's
and,
not NASCAR affiliated.
and you would not know that.
No, you would have
because
no
they
idea.
don't. The broadcast never talks about it, and I don't know if they should. You know what I mean?
yeah.
But
maybe it's
it-
not important, but it's a cool logo.
It
to
is.
be honest.
It's so cool,
And
and
it feels like they're
everywhere.
kind of getting away from it, honestly. Because and the only reason I say that is because I collect magnets from every
Yeah.
track I go
Mhm.
to, and so I've got a bunch of SMI magnets that are all uniform. The track in the font, the same SMI font, and then that logo.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I went to Nashville Super Speedway, they didn't have one.
Ooh,
Like they had their own logo. So
Yeah.
it's almost like maybe they're trying to get away from it. I don't know, but
they're doing a lot
I-
of
I
weird
think
things
that's
at Nashville, though.
They are. Yeah.
We
And
can
we'll
talk
get into
about.
that.
Yeah,
But I think that's iconic.
it is. I mean, when you think about the brand of NASCAR, you honestly, that's kind of one of the first things that you've
Yeah.
seen it. Like, I mean, my girlfriend's only been to a handful of races. I guarantee if I showed her that logo,
She
she would not
recognized
know what SMI was, but she would know that was a NASCAR logo, which
She'd
to
be
me-
like me thinking it's like the
yes,
National Motorsports logo. right?
100%, 100%.
So, other than that, is there anything you know or have heard
No,
about SMI?
no. Again, just that they're the only other track owner besides NASCAR, really, that they race at.
Yeah, so right now we have, it didn't used to always be this way. We used to have a bunch of private owners.
Mm-hmm.
And it's somewhat recent. But Bruton Smith was a track promoter back in the day. He built Charlotte Motor Speedway in 1959. Put Humpy Wheeler in charge and kind of left and did other business ventures, unmotorsports related.
So literally just invested in it and kind of left.
Yeah, it's like almost, I don't know if he just decided he wanted to take a different career path, but, track promoter, built a track, put somebody else in charge, kind of went away,
Mhm.
did a bunch of business dealings, came back with a lot of money in 1990. So,
Okay.
and I mean, a lot of money. So when he comes back, it's almost like he has this, monopoly mindset and just starts buying tracks because all these tracks are private owned, right?
Mhm.
And we just go to them because they're good tracks. And he's like, well, I'm going to make my own business out of it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where Speedway Motorsports came from. They weren't even incorporated as Speedway Motorsports Incorporated until the mid-90s.
Whoa.
So this is somewhat recent, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we think mid-90s, it's still 30 years ago, but it's
that's-
pretty recent compared to 1948 when NASCAR started, right?
100%.
So, and I got a few notes, and I'm going to try to look at them here. Just real quick before we get into the history, SMI owns a lot of tracks, right? Well, they also manage the operations at COTA.
Mhm.
So they don't own COTA, but when we go to COTA, they manage all the operations.
Is that a F1 owned track?
I think it's a privately owned track.
Okay.
From what I know F1 does not own it. I'm pretty sure it's just a privately owned
I don't
track.
even know if F1 owns tracks.
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah.
I don't either. But they manage the operations. So obviously NASCAR wants to go there.
Yes.
It's very easy for them to lean on this company they've been working with for so long.
Yeah.
They co-operate Nashville Fairgrounds. So they don't own Nashville Fairgrounds, but they have made a deal to co-operate it.
Okay.
Whatever that means, right?
Yeah.
Not smart enough to tell you any more than that.
Yeah.
But so Bruton, when he comes in, there's other companies that own tracks like this, right? So Penske has a company that owns tracks. ISC that we know now, he kind of wants to be Mr. Track owner.
Mm-hmm.
So he starts building every track he buys. He starts building it up, or he's building tracks and making them amazing. So he buys Bristol in the 90s.
Makes it amazing.
makes it the Coliseum.
Yeah.
Right? Builds Texas. It's at that time set 150,000 people. So everything was just amazing. It was also the boom in NASCAR, so you could justify it. And then when he starts realizing that he's still not the biggest track owner or track company, he's like, well, I want all my tracks to have 2 dates. And so for the longest time, every SMI track had 2 dates.
NASCAR just went along with this?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was booming. We didn't know it. NASCAR, characteristic NASCAR, they don't know any better.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, oh, NASCAR's booming. Short tracks are good. Talladega's good. Well, let's build as many 1.5 miles, right?
Yeah.
And we have 1 million 1.5 miles.
That's a whole nother overview.
So, not to get too deep into it, but I'm just going to list you every track
Please.
that they own.
Yeah.
Atlanta, Bristol, Charlotte, Dover, Kentucky, Vegas, National Superspeedway, that's in Lebanon,
Yep.
New Hampshire, North Wilkesboro, Sonoma, and Texas.
Wow.
So that's a lot of tracks. So
That's a lot of tracks that
It's
we
a
go
lot.
to
It's a
twice
lot.
a year.
yeah, and
Yeah.
some that we don't
Yeah.
anymore, and some that we only go to once,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So at one time, SMI was great, right? And they got their way. Marcus Smith, Bruton's son, becomes the CEO in 2015.
So recent.
Pretty recent.
Yeah.
More recent than, we were just talking about recent.
Mhm.
And here's where, and I don't want to just be a Denny defender, right?
Yeah.
But I think Denny has some great points. So, and the reason we're talking about this is the Twitter beef that just happened.
Yes.
But in my opinion, you look at these tracks and you think about the things that SMI has done. Atlanta got repaved into a super speedway.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ask for that?
No.
I know I didn't.
No.
Who asked for that?
No one.
Nobody. Okay. Bristol, now I'll take their side on this, but it got reconfigured into concrete instead of asphalt.
Yeah.
I think it still puts on a good race.
It's amazing.
We're in the minority. I'll tell you that right
Yeah.
now. Especially the people in that area that live up there.
They really think the asphalt was better?
Because it was one lane, root and gouge. You had to move people out of the way. Now, okay.
Dude, you cannot convince me otherwise that the concrete is concrete is 10 times better than the asphalt.
I'm kind of the same way. We had some really good finishes on the old asphalt, but I mean, I love seeing people rip the top.
Yes.
So that one's up for debate.
That's got to be
Sure.
the late model dirt in us, though.
It must be. It must be. So we'll stand on the fence on that one.
Yeah.
Charlotte, we went to the Roval.
Yeah.
I think we could probably go back to a 400-mile oval race in the fall.
Yes.
Dover's okay. Kentucky, RIP.
Yeah.
And they had huge traffic problems.
Oh,
in
Kentucky. Yeah.
The first ever time. First ever time it was so bad that their attendance shrunk.
It's exactly what happened to Nashville the first time we went.
That's where I was going to go with that. Yeah.
It was ridiculous, and again, that was the first track I took my dad to, was at Kentucky, because it wasn't it's not a horrible drive from where I live at Middle Tennessee.
Yeah.
And when we went there, had a great race. That was when Kurt and Kyle got
great finish. Yeah.
It was amazing finish. Now the race was but that finish made the whole entire race, and it was like any other SMI track where you kind of just parked in the field, but getting out was the worst experience we've ever had. We waited for 2.5 hours
Yeah.
to leave
And
after
why-
the race.
And why is it harder to enter and leave a NASCAR race than a Tennessee football game?
It shouldn't be.
It should be.
It
And I'm
should
not saying Tennessee football game is an amazing experience to leave,
No.
but it's way easier.
And there's 10 times more people there. No
Yeah.
offense to NASCAR.
No, yeah, there-
there
that's-
is.
that's
Like
fact.
there's over 100,000 people in the stands every weekend, and guaranteed there's 50,000 people watching
Right.
from outside the stadium, and everyone leaves at the same time. And yeah, you'll have to wait in traffic, but nothing like you have to
Yeah.
wait to at Nashville. Nothing like you have to wait at in Kentucky.
Which is insane.
It's like, how did they not just talk to someone that's proficient in traffic and
Yeah.
go? I mean, but what's crazy is going back to the traffic thing, is when you go to Atlanta, it's perfect. The way they built that, a 6-lane highway in.
Well, that's a track that Bruton bought.
Okay, so they already had it figured
Yeah,
out.
they already
They
had it
didn't.
figured
They
out.
didn't already touch it.
Yeah.
So like I said, it's 6 lanes in, and then when you come out, it's one way out, and everyone's going the same direction.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, it's wild. Nashville Super Speedway, I don't think, is a great track, personally.
I don't.
We have a
thi-
little hometown bias.
I do have hometown bias. I
Um,
mean, it's fun to go. It's a decent experience.
But traffic's terrible there.
It's
And
horrible.
then they're starting this new cooler policy.
Yeah.
You can't take a cooler in.
That-
Don't
that's-
even want to get started on that.
No.
But thank you, SMI. New Hampshire, no complaints. North Wilkesboro, we'll get into it. And Sonoma, we'll get into it. Texas, like I said, they built 150,000. At one time, NASCAR could handle that. But now, I don't even think you can get 150,000 people to a Tennessee game. I don't think you could.
You say that, but then we filled up Bristol. You know what I mean?
We did.
Yeah,
it's a little special scenario.
It was a special scenario,
Yeah.
but I mean, let's be honest.
But how many Tennessee games sell out? Like
every-
Alabama, Georgia.
Every one of them.
Not every one of them.
Yeah.
No,
I think.
No way, dude. I'm telling you.
I'm not saying that everyone goes that has tickets, but if you were to talk to Tennessee, they buy.
Okay.
They
Well, if you
sell
go to a
out.
homecoming game,
Oh yeah, I know.
or the first 3 games of the year,
Yeah.
that place is 50 to 75% full. Like I guess my point is, we don't live in a time where people want to go to live sports.
That's fair. Yeah,
Okay?
100%.
And NFL stadiums.
Yeah.
What is Nissan? 65,
65,
70,000?
70, yeah.
Yeah.
If that.
Right.
Yeah.
So SEC football is kind of in its own world.
It
right?
is in its own
But
bracket.
why are we expecting a niche motorsport to fill 150,000? Now they've taken seats out, but so they took seats out. Well, then they decide, well, let's make Texas different. Let's flatten turn 1 and 2,
Yeah.
and leave turn 3 and 4 the same. And,
Yeah.
and I guess in their mind, they're like, oh, this will make 2 different kinds of racing, but they don't consult anybody.
No, they just do it.
They just do it, right?
Yeah.
And drivers will tell them, and this is not necessarily just an SMI problem, right? This is a motorsports NASCAR problem. They will just do something, and drivers will say, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, you don't know what you're talking about. And they do it anyway. So they've ruined Texas. Now, the only saving grace to Texas is this next-gen car that just performs on 1.5 miles.
Mhm.
But so we go back to North Wilkesboro and Sonoma. So North Wilkesboro just got repaved, and Sonoma just got repaved.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody posted a picture on Twitter of Sonoma. They did a Trans Am race there, IMSA race, something, and the track just started coming up,
Yeah. Deteriorating.
deteriorating.
Yeah.
And Denny called out SMI. Him and Marcus got into it.
For being cheap, right?
Right,
Yeah.
for being cheap.
I thought that was the original tweet.
That was the original cheap.
This is what happens when you do cheap
Yeah.
repaves
and
or
he
whatever.
said, just wait till we get to North Wilkesboro.
Yeah.
And from his comments, they've evidently already had problems at North Wilkesboro from the repaving from a test they went to. Atlanta, after they repaved it, they had to patch multiple times.
Okay.
So all these people that are the blue-collar fans that we have start chiming in. They're like, this is not how you repave something. And they start going in on SMI.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, ISC, NASCAR-owned tracks, when they repave something, evidently they go all the way down to the dirt and they restart.
Okay. So they go gravel, the whole
All that,
nine.
yeah. SMI is like repaving I-40, I
Yeah.
guess. You know,
Yeah,
like,
they're just taking off the asphalt
yeah,
and then
let's
putting it
grind
down.
it off, lay it down,
Yeah.
and then expect people to go 150 miles an hour on it.
That is a little cheap.
It's pretty cheap, right?
Yeah.
So why Denny is mad is in this new TV deal. It was $8.5 billion, right? $8.5 billion. The tracks get 5.52 billion of that. So
Which means the SMI is taking a huge percentage.
Now, so Denny's complaint is we've opened our books, we've told you why we can't make money, and we need more money. And NASCAR has kind of thrown it onto the tracks. ISC, now they own ISC and SMI, and said, well, the tracks are getting all this money. We're only getting this billion.
Yep.
Ask the tracks for more money. And evidently the negotiations are at a standstill because the tracks say we can't give you any more money. Now, in the tracks' defense, we don't know what they spend. We don't know what they're doing. We know they're not, SMI at least is not paving tracks the best. But they also are paying the majority of the purse for each race out of that 5.5 billion.
Okay,
right?
so that's really good because I wrote down a question. Does NASCAR pay SMI to race? And so that kind of answers that as no. The TV almost.
TV contract does, yep.
Okay.
Now NASCAR, I'm sure they can decide, we don't want to go to X track, but there's contracts and everything else going through too. So
yeah. Like they probably have a contract that says they have to go to X amount of SMI tracks.
Super corporate.
Yes.
Super corporate.
Sad.
Yeah, but that's the world we live in.
Yeah.
So SMI is sitting here saying, well, we can't give you more money. We're already doing all this. But they're not opening their books, right? So that's where Denny's getting mad. Now, in their defense, like I said, they are paying part of the purse.
Yeah.
We don't know. They used to disclose what purses were.
It's huge.
And now they'll only disclose what the full amount purse is.
And it is, and
that's
by
from
my
everybody.
yeah, exactly. So by my understanding, you finish the race, you do get an X amount of dollars.
You get X amount. We don't know what that X amount of
Yes.
dollars, but used to back in the day, they would be like, here's how much the winner gets. So now
Okay.
they're just like, the whole purse is X million, right?
So
And then-
Denny is probably thinking, this is what I used to make when I won, and I know the track used to pay it then. Now when I win an SMI track, I get paid this amount of money, and I know how much money you guys are getting.
Right. And I
You
know
got-
you're not paving the tracks.
Yes.
You're not
So-
putting, I go to the tracks, the bathrooms suck, or what,
Yeah.
not all of them, right?
No,
But,
no.
But like, that's what's so crazy is I go to Bristol every year.
Yes.
Right? And then now, granted, it's probably a terrible example, but I went to Daytona for the first time, right?
Yeah.
Now that's Daytona. That's the premier track,
Mhm.
and it is ISC owned, but like, that is a facility.
Okay.
I mean,
yeah. I've been
everything
there.
was-
I haven't seen a
my
race,
God,
but
dude,
it's.
everything was so nice.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that's where Denny's coming from. So we have this company, SMI. Bruton's he's passed away now, but that family has been ingrained in NASCAR for so long. It's almost like we're at the standstill, and that's where the corporate meets the good old boys club.
Yeah.
And that's always been a NASCAR thing.
Mhm.
We have this corporate side, and we have the good old boys club, and there's this place in the middle where those two don't mesh.
Yes.
And that's kind of where we're at. So I just want to do a little bit of an SMI overview just to keep
Yeah.
people. I mean, I'm sure there's tons of people that saw this Twitter brief and was like, this is awesome, but I have no clue
What's going even on?
what SMI is. So one of the biggest comments Denny said to Marcus was, here's a tip. Let somebody else run your business before you destroy everything your dad handed you. Whoa.
Yeah. That's.
Which is awesome. That's why I love Denny.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, he got clapped back at pretty
Yeah.
hard, and then he went for his throat.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
And like, I'm somebody that I am the Richard of Petty,
Yeah.
but I would never get in a war of words with Denny Hamlin.
No.
You're asking to lose.
Yes.
You're asking to lose.
Yeah.
So
You would love that on Twitter, though.
Oh, dude.
You would love
if I
that he
didn't
came
like
after
if we
you.
weren't so similar,
Yeah.
I would love to get into it with
Yes,
him,
you
but we would agree on everything. But all right, well, anything to close up SMI? Any other?
I mean, the other thing you wrote down, overall good. I think it is good for.
I think
the
it's good, but
sport.
it is. But I think there's like when we talk about the questionable things, we didn't even touch on dirt on Bristol.
No, we didn't.
But
I'm not saying they're making great decisions, but I'm just saying as like having the opportunity to have such a big company that NASCAR can rely on, and we've seen the shortcomings of NASCAR. Imagine what their shortcomings would be if they had to control all those possibilities everywhere they went.
Yeah.
Now, granted, maybe if you're private owned, if If you're a private owned track, you only have to worry about your weekend, you know, and we know how corporations are. They lose sight of the consumer a little bit, and so
they start looking at numbers.
They do. They start looking at numbers. So I don't know. I mean, besides Nashville and Kentucky, personally, every SMI track I've been to has been a great experience. Like the 600 at Charlotte, it's one of those that it's amazing. That facility's good. But like you said, the facility compared to Daytona, that's tough.
It's tough because it's also the flagship track, right?
It is. But like you compare it to Talladega, who is also owned by NASCAR, I would say that any SMI track holds up to that. You know what I mean? It's pretty. No offense to Talladega, it puts on a show as so far as super speedways go, and the parties are great. But I mean, the track, like the bathrooms and the seating and the concessions, is very comparable to an SMI track.
Right.
Yeah.
I think just to close, my only complaint with SMI, and I might just be picking on SMI when it's a NASCAR problem in general, is it seems like they are trying to find a way to be entertainment.
Yeah.
And not racing.
Yes.
Right.
I can see that.
And I would not be surprised if Texas ends up getting reconfigured again into Atlanta.
Oh.
Because and the worst thing that ever happened to us and the best thing that ever happened to us was a 3-wide finish at Atlanta.
Yeah, it was.
You know what I mean?
And
that was great.
It was great.
But then it's like you're kind of in the back of your mind. You're like it. And I hate to make this comparison, but it's like watching a WWE match, right? And somebody jumps off the top of a steel cage. And you're like, that's amazing. But in the back of your mind, you're like, well, this is false reality. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of how I feel.
Yeah, they couldn't hold a steel cage match every week.
No. But also, like, as exciting as that is, it's just made for our entertainment.
Yes.
And that's how I feel about Atlanta, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that...
No, I see exactly what you're saying.
You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like 3-wide finish, that's great. If it brought new fans in, awesome. Mm-hmm. But it also had Daniel Suarez win, who is not going to do anything else the rest of the year.
Yeah.
And that's where I have a bone to pick, which...
Yeah.
I mean, we're watching William Byron bore our asses off, but we're watching the best driver win.
I mean, if he's got 3 wins, I mean, he's on track to be the championship favorite for sure.
Sure.
I mean, if he doesn't win a championship this year, when is he going to get one? You know?
I don't know.
And you can't tell me that he didn't deserve one last year.
No, he should have been the champion last year.
Exactly. Yeah.
So we'll jump right into Martinsville. I'm empty if you don't mind, by the way. So we'll do our rating first.
Yeah.
What would you rate Martinsville?
Okay, so I want to preface this with I gave Richmond way too high of a rating, as you and Colby pointed out to me. Going back and watching it, I think I was just hype. Denny won. I picked a driver. I had a lot of things go right for me in the betting world, and it was an exciting finish. Again, like towards the end, it was very good. We actually got to see some passing. So I say that to say Martinsville, I gave it a 4.3. So
your old S10.
Yeah, exactly. And I owned one.
B6 Vortec.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah. Man, I haven't even thought of this. That's a good number. I like the number to correlate to something.
Yeah. I didn't do that on purpose.
No, I loved it. I'm going to make it a 5.4.
Okay.
And only because the 5.4 Triton Ford engine was one of the worst.
It was. Don't talk to our boy Gary.
So I'm just saying. But it was terrible.
Yeah.
It was absolutely terrible. But was it anything? We talked about it last week. We knew. We knew it was going to be. And that's what these people that are surprised. It's like we have seen this at every next gen Martinsville race. Yeah,
it's time and time again with. And to me, the thing that is annoying with it is the fact that they just overlook it, and the higher ups don't want to talk about how bad the race is. Again, and we can kind of get into this with the story of Hendrick, but God, to them, if Hendrick wins that race every single time that we go there, that's a win. You know, they love to see Hendrick win that race that put them on the map, apparently. I'm tired of hearing that dumbass story. That's all I'm going to say. I'm tired of hearing that because I do not believe it. I want to see your books. I want to see how bad you were in the negative until you won that purse. That's all I'm saying. I do not believe that you were shutting down. You will not convince me of that.
Maybe not. Maybe not. That has been the story that was told, but I think NASCAR knows it's shitty.
You think?
I think they do.
Okay.
I think if they could change it, they could. But that corporate side, that corporate monkey hanging on their back, says that you can't just add horsepower. You can't just now. I'm speaking for NASCAR, right? What I think I'm not speaking for myself. They're saying you can't just add horsepower. You can't just skinny the tire up. You can't just take all this aero off because they're still looking for a new manufacturer.
Yeah.
They're already have promised all these teams that this has been cheaper to go to next gen, and it hasn't been. So to make a change that we don't know if will work. So you're talking about making a change, like, and horsepower might not change it, tire might not change it. We're still driving a road course car on short tracks, right? So they don't want to, in my opinion, they don't want to take that gamble, make them spend more money.
Yeah.
It still sucks. And now the fans are more mad because they're like, NASCAR is so incompetent. The owners are mad because we just spent all this money for nothing to change.
Yeah.
And so they're sitting there on their thumbs.
Yeah.
Which is shit. I'm not saying that's the right thing to do.
No.
I just think that's where they're coming from. I think they're more than aware that Steve Phelps and Steve O'Donnell can log on to Twitter and see, the good race poll that Jeff Gluck did. I mean, it was like 30-something% good race.
It was bad.
It was bad.
Yeah.
I mean, they know that.
Yeah.
So I just don't know what you can do. And real quick before we get into that, we'll just talk about Hendrick's storybook win real quick. We knew it was going to happen.
No, we.
Right.
I mean, you called it, but I did not want to believe it. I did.
Number one, they're good there, right?
They are good there, but
I don't think it's like a conspiracy.
You told us that last week of like, yes, they are always good there, but at that point you couldn't bet against the Toyotas because they had been so good on short tracks.
Right, but they're just it's Martinsville.
It's Martinsville.
And it's Hendrick.
I know.
I mean, they're just good there.
Yeah.
And William Byron's already won there a couple times.
Yeah.
It was Kyle Larson's race to lose.
It was, and he did.
And he did. When Joey took two, and then he got shuffled on a restart, and then you just couldn't pass.
No.
And we're not saying anything that.
I mean, you
else
say
said.
that he couldn't pass, but I mean, William Byron started 18th.
He had a 2-tire stop. They got him up.
He
to the
did.
front.
He did. You're right. He was one of those. You're right. I'm
So
sorry.
He didn't
Yeah.
pass 17 cars. Now he did pass Chase on that pit cycle. For whatever reason. So I mean, it was not like slot cars completely.
Yeah.
It's pretty damn close.
Yeah.
But if you hit lap traffic, you couldn't get around them, which is ridiculous.
It is.
And
Ryan Preece should not be out there determining who wins the race. No offense.
Or Austin Cindric.
No, exactly.
I mean, that's ridiculous.
Whoever it is,
Yeah.
they should not determine. Even Ross. Ross did the same thing at Richmond, kind of, just holding people up. He should not. They should not deter. I mean, yes, they can be hard to pass, but not when you have a 3-second lead. Should you be able to close that and just trying to get around one vehicle?
Yeah,
Like-
and the only thing I wanted to say is, so we had that late race restart, and usually, now tires didn't necessarily matter very much, but
They mattered more than last year's race.
So here's what I think, and this is kind of just from previous experience. If William Byron is first and Denny Hamlin is second,
Yeah.
and pit road's open, and Denny comes down, I think the rest of the field comes down.
100%.
But it was William, Chase, and
Kyle Larson.
Kyle Larson.
Yeah.
Right?
And Bowman was in seventh.
Seventh.
Yeah, somewhere in there.
So, because it's that race,
Yep.
because they all have ruby red cars,
Yep.
whatever William Byron does, the other two are going to do. Because it's all about getting Hendrick a win.
100%.
Right, wrong, or indifferent.
Yeah.
So, when William doesn't pit, Chase and
Larson's-
Larson are not going to pit.
Yeah, they stay out.
Right? So now
Now that brings, I think at that time, Larson had not passed Denny yet. Was Denny in fourth?
Denny was like in seventh. He was pretty far back.
He was right next to Joey. Joey was in front of him. I think Joey was 4th and Hamlin was 5th.
Okay, that might be right.
Okay.
And so, but that was Denny. I think there was only like 11 cars on the lead lap.
Yeah, no, there was more than that, but
that
it was close to that.
Close to that.
Yeah,
so
it was close to that.
So Denny's mentality and Chris Grapehart's mentality was, we're not going to win this race.
Yeah.
So let's pit
and hope for more cautions.
And hope for not only hope for more cautions, but hope when we pit, everybody else is like, oh, we'll pit too.
Yes.
And then we have sitting ducks.
Yes.
But I think he was right on that cusp. If he was 5th or 6th, somewhere around there, that people were like, well, I can start 6th on fresh tires, or I can just move up 2 spots, right?
Yeah.
So then that guy stays, and the 7th guy's like, well, I'll stay.
Yeah.
But
it got him. It killed me.
It got him.
Yeah,
but
it killed me.
He had nothing to lose, right? Because of his format.
Yeah.
But I think if it wasn't a Hendrick top 3 and the second car pits, and like let's take all our Hendrick guys, shuffle them through the field, shuffle them through the top 10 because they were all top 10 cars.
Yeah.
Shuffle them through the top 10. William Byron's a sitting duck. Even though tires didn't necessarily matter.
Yeah, I mean,
if every car behind you has fresh tires,
you're scared.
Then you're going to get past him.
Oh, 100%.
Because it was Hendrick, and we saw Chase try to bump Willie out of the way, he's not going to bump him that hard, right? Because at the end of the day, they have 1,500 Hendrick people there. A ruby red car has to get in the victory lane.
Yeah.
So I think that's where that circumstance changed that race a little bit.
It did, because like you said, if your scenario plays out and you say you have William Byron leading, you have, even if you had Chase second, and maybe you say Bubba Wallace, who had just an amazing car all day. If he's sitting 3rd, Joey Logano's 4th, Denny's 5th, you have Blaney in 6th, who somehow pulled together an amazing race well, and you kind of go back with maybe a couple Fords and throw Alex Bowman in there around 8th or 9th, you were probably right. You definitely have more people fit.
Yeah, if you split the Hendrick guys up, I think you pull more guys to pit lane.
100%, because exactly like you said, even if they had the top 2, the top 3, that's when it to me, that's the number that's
then
like
you're blocking a full lane and half a lane.
Exactly. But if you only had 2 guys and they're both sitting ducks on old tires, and it wasn't like we had just ran 30 laps.
No,
we had the longest green flag cycle the entire race. So I don't think it was just a horrible call by Denny. I literally think if he would have pulled everyone behind him, we're maybe talking about Denny finishing second. We didn't have any cautions. Yeah,
but that's still a possibility on a green white checkered.
Oh yeah,
short track. So
yeah,
I would say the odds were not in the favor for that to go green.
No,
on a green white checkered. So I don't blame it. And like I said, with this format, you got 2 wins in the bank.
Yeah,
just try something.
Go for it.
11th place to Denny.
Yeah,
means nothing right now.
Yeah, it meant something to me. But.
It does to you.
Yeah,
but all right, let's get into standouts. So as always, we're doing Corey LaJoie versus Carson Hocevar. It is 5 Carson Hocevar, 3 Corey LaJoie.
Yep.
Are we surprised?
Honestly, me a little bit.
I'm not.
Again, we're not even halfway through the season, so maybe Carson's hot right now. But then again, Carson's literally outperformed him. Like it's not like Carson's finishing 26th and Corey is finishing 27th. I mean, he is beating him straight up. Like I think Carson finished 17th. Or something like that.
Somewhere around there.
And again, I may be totally off on that, but Corey finished lap down is what I'm getting at. Like he was 2-3 laps down, and Carson was still on the lead lap as far as I know.
Yeah.
At the end, I don't know about the very
not 1 lap down, but I mean he was not bad. But now if you listen to Corey LaJoie, he's blaming it on they're so low in points they have to go out towards the front in qualifying, which is like semi-valid. But, I mean, Carson's only 2 positions higher than him in points.
Yeah.
And finishing 10 spots better the past 2 to 3 races.
Yes.
So, I do think come Texas, Texas is kind of technical. You can move around. I can see Carson getting in over his head and Corey just, having a 25th place finish.
Carson is good here, though.
I mean, I hope he does.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying what I can see to make this go 5-4 is that Carson gets in a little over his head, brushes the wall, breaks the toe link or bends the toe link, and Corey just kind of puts around and
Gets
finishes.
himself in trouble.
Gets himself in trouble.
So
That's the only thing,
yeah.
and we've said this before, that's the only thing that will skew this head-to-head
Mm-hmm.
is Carson doesn't have to worry about Corey.
Yeah.
Carson has to worry about Carson.
Yes.
That is his
Yeah.
biggest enemy
Mhm.
in this matchup.
Everyone around him, he's clearly shown that he's faster. Just don't over push your car.
Yeah, don't overpush it and don't piss people off.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't pull a Ross.
Yeah,
Yeah.
don't pull a Ross
Yeah.
because when you get back there in the scrum,
Mm-hmm.
you start pissing off Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
Yeah.
He'll just dump you.
Yeah, he will. He
I
don't
mean,
care.
He doesn't
don't
care.
care.
It's for 25th.
Yeah. Austin Cindric will do the same
Yeah,
thing.
he'll do the same
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Ryan
So,
Preece. I mean,
yeah.
there's
Mhm.
too many
Yep.
people back there with a chip on their shoulder that will
Mhm.
just dump your ass.
Yep.
So we'll keep it on that, but 5-3.
5-3.
I am less than surprised.
Let's go.
Less than surprised.
I'm here for it.
Yeah.
I'm kind of rooting for Carson because Corey was the heavy favorite. You know, everyone
Yeah.
loves a good underdog.
As I've said a million times before, it should be Corey.
Yeah, it
There's
should be.
no excuse for him to
Mhm.
not.
He has so much more experience.
So much more experience.
Yeah,
He's the veteran of that team.
100%.
So we talked about if Hendrick wasn't up front, if people would have pit, but really the only notables I had, and I don't know if you have another one, was Bubba.
I had one more other than
Okay.
that, but go
real quick on Bubba. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not that we didn't think he could, right?
No,
it was more the team
Yes,
because his team just. I mean, his pit crew screws him a lot.
lets him down
Lets
so
him down
many
so much,
times.
or he just has bad luck. I think Bubba had the day that we knew he was capable of,
100%.
and we need to see more of that.
Yeah.
So he's not fighting from behind going into the playoffs.
100%. I mean, he literally, we've seen it out of Tyler Reddick's team, but of letting him down, you know. But Tyler Reddick sometimes is just better fighting out of that hole.
Right.
He is. But when Bubba's team is on it and Bubba makes no mistakes, he's definitely one to watch. I mean, to me, he can win for sure. I think he may get a win, and who knows when the playoffs roll around? I don't want to see him. I don't want to see him in the round of 12. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because he could be right there. I mean, he's definitely going to be probably below the cutoff line in the round of 12. But depending, and I don't know the tracks off of hand, but I mean, there's definitely probably a super speedway in that. And
Right.
dude, Bubba is right now one of the best at a super speedway. Him and Blaney are just so good at those
Yeah.
tracks.
And the tracks line, and we saw that last year. The tracks in the playoffs line up for him,
Oh, 100%.
where he came in with no playoff points and almost made it to the round of 8.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for this Texas race, that he
100%.
should have won.
Yes.
And he says he choked, but I mean that's just inexperience. Like you have to lose them to
Mhm.
learn how to win them.
100%. And he's
And
putting himself in those positions.
He's
like
putting himself in those positions. As much as I like Bubba, I will say he is a bit mental, right? And so he needs a day like this
He does.
to give him,
does.
because he wears his emotions on his sleeve, right? So he
Mhm.
needs a 4th place at Martinsville behind 3 solid Hendrick cars. He top finishing non-Hendrick guy, right?
Mhm.
That's something to hang your hat on when you go to Martinsville. And I
Yes.
think that is the only thing that will help him succeed is for everything to go right.
Yes, he has to have those confidence
He has
boosters
to have
throughout
his
the
confidence.
season.
He's not one of those guys that can shake off the week before.
No.
Unfortunately. I
Not,
wish
not
he
yet.
was.
Not yet. He's still young.
Maybe,
I
maybe
mean,
he'll get there.
Yeah.
But right now, he needs a week like Martinsville to
Yeah.
continue to do
Mhm.
good.
And we've seen that he can run up there in Texas, so it's
Yeah.
going to be
Yeah.
very interesting to see what he does.
Yeah. I
But
agree.
so to move from him, the other standout I had who had just a quiet top 10 was Briscoe.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, I know,
Okay.
but he did.
Wow,
He
okay.
finished 10th, but I mean he qualified 5th, so he did kind of go down. But I mean, just
Still
to
held on to it.
yeah, just to run around there all day. We talked about Josh Berry a little bit; he was highlighted. But other than that, no other Stewart Haas driver was talked about, and Briscoe was. I mean, again, he didn't have the best car, but he's still up there
No, he's
all
still-
day.
yeah. I
And
mean,
so
he
that
still
was
has to
that was kind of my
capitalize.
standout. It was like you have to pick, and the reason I keep picking Stewart Haas drivers is because Colby. You know, we had that bet, so I still think I don't know. Josh Berry can clearly get it done, but I would love to have another guy in that Stewart Haas camp that can get us a win, and Colby can owe me some beer. So
Is Chase Briscoe the best SHR driver right now?
no,
I
but
don't think so.
no, I still think
Okay.
it's Josh Berry. I still think it's Josh Berry. He's performed better. He has. Even at Bristol. I mean, he's just again, another finally going to a mile and a half. We will see. We will see. I can't pull off top hand what they finished at Vegas, but then again, the Fords are still fighting an uphill battle on that.
Yeah, for some reason they're still behind.
They're so behind. So you have to kind of take that with a grain of salt as well. But to me, it was really good to see someone like Briscoe in the 14 car do something positive for once, who is literally SHR was riding the back of my boy Kevin for 3 years.
Yes.
3 years they were just riding the back of him, and hopefully Josh Berry. I would love to see them all be competitive, but we're not there yet. We're not there yet. No. And again, partly is because of the Fords themselves, but a lot of it's on the driver too. So
did you see SHR talking about selling charters?
I did see that.
That was interesting.
It was very interesting.
Yeah. We don't have to get into that, but I thought that was weird.
It is weird, but
Gene Haas is a billionaire.
Yeah.
So if he's wanting to sell, it's only just because he's tired of it.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's also because he sees. I don't know how well you follow F1, but he is trying to build that F1 team that he has.
Are they getting any better?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But are they ever going to have a chance to beat a manufacturer team?
No, sir.
So what's the point? Can you make money? Can you make money being a 5th to 6th place team in F1?
I don't know. I don't follow it that well. I don't know. I figure you can. I mean,
I know the money rolls in there.
The money rolls in there, and I think it's literally he sees that right now is the most followed motorsport in the world. I mean, we kind of compared that 2 episodes ago of like the following. If he gets one of his drivers to be up there and compete with the Max Verstappens or the Lewis Hamiltons or whoever's racing up there, if he can get a car up there, I definitely see that making them more money than. Again, I'm not saying that it's all his fault, but if the Fords don't step up, he can only do so much.
Right,
he can only funnel so much money in there, and if Ford is not helping them out or doing anything to compete with the Toyotas and the Chevys right now, of course, why are you funneling more money in when you can go to F1 and build your own entire thing? You know?
And I think, not that I know much about Gene Haas, but he is Haas CNC.
Yes.
He's a builder, right? He's an innovator.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, F1, you can pretty much no rules.
Zero.
There's a small template, right?
Yep.
But you're building everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then NASCAR just created a model where you pretty much get rid of your CNC machines.
Yes. And literally it worked out perfect for him in the fact that he can kind of use those to do his other thing that he wants to do. But, when you're doing what you love and building something, which is clearly what he likes to do,
with your name on it, why would you stay in something where you're just having to buy someone else's stuff and put it on there and then hope you win? It's not going to be interesting to you.
Yeah.
Especially if you're not doing good.
Yeah, 100%. Yep. You have no enjoyment of anything anymore.
Yep,
so
I agree with that.
Well, but that's my only thing. Just hopefully watch Briscoe. I don't want that team to disappear. I don't want them to sell charters. I love Tony, and I literally think Tony's the only reason that Gene is still in there.
Yeah. Do you want to hear my conspiracy theory?
Oh, 100%.
So I think they have like a percentage agreement at Stewart-Haas Racing, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't know if that falls within charters or how they divvy that up, but I think this is crazy harebrained theory. Gene Haas, they sell those charters, that gets Gene Haas out of the team altogether, and Dale Jr. buys in. And then it's Tony Stewart and Dale Jr.
Ooh.
With a 2-car team.
Do you know the fan base that they would grab?
It'd be insane.
Instantly.
Josh Berry's already there.
Yeah. Who was a Dale Jr. driver for entirety.
And now this is just my theory. I had the same theory.
Do they switch manufacturers?
They would have to. Dale Jr. is Chevy through and through.
Yeah, I know.
Through and through.
What does that do for Ford, though?
There's already talks about Ford discontinuing their key partnership with SHR. Now, it's hard because Chevy wouldn't even be a key partner for Jimmy Johnson,
Yeah.
right?
Why would
But
they
it's
be?
but it's Dale Jr.
It is Dale
It's
Jr.
Dale Jr., right?
He's a Hall
I
of
could see
Famer.
them, honestly. Now, I don't know if they have a set number of people they would be a key manufacturer for, if they would just throw money because it's Dale Jr. But, like, would they throw a Trackhouse aside to be with?
I know, which scares
Now-
you for Trackhouse.
Right. And, like, this is all speculation. Total speculation. Because I had the same thought last year that Dale Jr. was going to buy into SHR2 because Josh Berry went there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's no way that they let Josh Berry go to Ford when Dale Jr. brought him up as a Chevy guy.
Yeah.
And he had Chevy on his car. Back, like I said earlier, no one would sponsor Josh Berry. Dale Jr. was cutting a check, and they put Chevy on the car. I'm like, there's no way they let Dale Jr.'s golden child
Yep.
go to Ford, and they did. So it might just be me hoping it happens, but it's just weird that Stuart Haas would ever even consider selling charters
Mm-hmm.
when they were. I mean, it's been 10 years, but they just won a championship 10 years ago.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, they not just that
Now,
they
they
won
won
a
that championship with Chevy, but
but then again, they still had competitive cars.
yeah,
like
9 wins in 2020.
Yeah. So, yeah, it is crazy to think about. If you would have any other team that had 9 wins would never consider selling charters.
It's
4
weird.
years later.
It's
4.
weird.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
100% weird. So that's good, but that's my only other standout that I have. So if you want to
Alright.
move on,
Yeah, we'll move on because we don't want to bitch. Everybody else is bitching, and
yeah, that's true.
we have the same bitches. So
Yep.
let's get into your bets. So where are we sitting? What did your bets do at
Okay.
Martinsville? And
So
we'll get into Texas.
We did well. We got back almost a full unit, so now we're down 6 instead of 6.8. So we're looking decent. Not great, but not bad on that. Wait, I may have did that math wrong. Hold on, I'm sorry.
There's no way.
Yeah, I think I did that math wrong now that I think about it. Hold on, I'm sorry. I'm pulling up FanDuel to look at my.
There's no way you did math wrong, Spencer.
Okay.
You're a math whiz.
I am kind of a math whiz, but now I'm second guessing. Okay. So last week I had the Chris Buescher Brad Keselowski matchup right, and I had the William Byron top 10 finish. And of course, I missed out on Denny, and I missed out on Seabell race winners. So I won 2.4 units is what I won, and we started the week at 6, so now it would be down 6.6. So 6.6, not 6.
So we're down 6.6.
Yeah, we're down 6.6.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, I did do that math wrong when I wrote it down earlier today. 6.6. Okay, so this week, the matchups have been kind of nice to me, so I'm gonna kind of ride those out. And again, matchups are, I didn't check every book. This is straight from FanDuel, so I don't know if the DraftKings matchups are different or the MGM matchups are different. But the ones I got were Blaney Chase, and Blaney has outperformed Chase in this race, literally out of. That's the other thing with Texas is we haven't been there, in this next gen car that many times.
Right.
We've only been there 3 times, I think, 3 or 4.
Yeah, well, it was the All-Star race, too.
Yeah.
Which kind of makes it weird.
So, Blaney is minus 164, so I put a unit on him to Blaney Chase, which is, I don't know, I think that's the one that we're going to have a good week. We're going to have to win that one. That one's going to have to be good. This next matchup, I went back and forth so many times, and I just, golly, they did really good on it, and I tried to look at other matchups, but this is the one that I felt better on. Not better on, but better out of all the other matchups they had besides the Blaney Chase one would be Reddick versus Bowman, and I got Reddick. And I just, he's won here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
has.
He's
In
won
a-
here.
in an RCR car
Yeah,
when they had all those tire blowouts.
exactly. Like the very first year that they
2022, yep.
the very first year they had the next gen car, and so him versus Bubba.
Bowman.
No, Bubba. I said.
Oh,
Did I
thought
say
you said-
Mo?
You did say Bowman.
Okay, I meant.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I said Bubba.
Oh,
That's
well,
yeah.
Now I disagree with you.
Okay, yeah. That's
Okay.
that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
My bad if I said Bowman. I meant Bubba.
Ugh.
Yeah.
You
So
really
it's,
picked Reddick over Bo?
I did. He has a win. He has more top fives. He has more top fives. Dude, it's gonna be close. It's gonna be close.
Close as in Bubba's gonna win the race.
I don't think that. No.
Okay.
I don't think Bowman wins. I mean, Bubba wins.
See what I mean?
yeah. I did say it again. I don't think Bubba wins. I think he finishes good. I think he finishes 7th, if we're being honest. If I had to like pick 1 through, I think he finishes 7th or 6th.
No way.
Okay.
He either wins or he finishes 25th.
That's what I'm banking on, the 25th right there. I
Okay.
can't bet on a 25th possible finish.
Okay.
So
I bet he gets the pole.
yeah, I could see that, but I could also see Reddick getting 3rd.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. We don't know,
Yeah, we don't know.
but my
We don't-
gut is telling me this is not going to work out.
Okay. You know what?
It's on record.
I can't wait to come back here next week and rub it in his face.
We'll see.
So those are my 2 matchups.
What were his odds? And
Minus 180. So he's heavy favorite. That's why
would you put a unit?
Yeah, I put a unit
Oh
on
my
it.
god.
I'm going with the favorites. The matchups have been nice to me. Let me write out my matchups, okay?
Okay.
My matchups have been nice to me. That's why that one was so tough, though. Like, considering because Bubba is there with the value. Like, he was minus 180. I'm pretty sure Bubba was like plus 120. You know, so it's...
We could have made so much money, Spencer.
I know. And you're right. I can't wait to look back at this next week and go, what was I thinking? What was I thinking when Bubba wins?
I'm just telling you right now.
Okay.
He should have won it last year.
He should have.
He's not going to get any slower.
He may swing for something that he doesn't see.
I don't think so.
It's that same thing that we've talked about before. When you should have won something, you don't change your car. And all these
I
other
feel
people are
like-
changing.
For sure.
Yeah.
That's a great point. But I feel like with him, anywhere he's been good before,
He's good again.
he's good again.
That's fair. Kansas.
He should have won Kansas,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, and then he did.
he turned around and
He
won Kansas.
Yeah, he did. So we'll see. We'll see, but just
Okay.
let me ride.
No, I believe in you.
So there's 2 units right there. And so my other unit, I had to go with it. Race winner Kyle Larson.
Okay.
I don't think it's half a unit on that plus 400.
That would dig us out of a hole quick.
Yes, it would. You literally hit another. If we can hit it, and again, I finally hit a race winner with Denny, but nothing else hit. And it was one of those, if you can hit your race winner and you can hit one of your other 2 or your other 3,
Yeah.
you know, you're in
Solid week.
you're in great shape. So, and then the last one, straight value pick, and just seeing how he's done here before, Carson Hocevar top 10.
Ooh.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So literally, we're talking
career day.
career day. I mean, all he got to finish is 10th. You know what I mean? What if? I mean, I could definitely see him starting 15th and not going okay.
Maybe a little attrition.
Maybe. Yeah. You fired up at 15th and you just have a good day, stay out of trouble. Like you said, I mean, that's going to be the biggest thing with him.
Yeah.
Wherever he starts is just not getting in that scrum with everyone in the back. Because he's not gonna go top. He's not gonna qualify top 10. It would be really good if he qualified 15th. But I could also see him if he qualifies 20. If he qualifies top 20, I really feel good about that. But it's plus 850 for half a unit.
Oh shit.
Yeah, to me that was high, and it's just so tough right now, especially on FanDuel, to bet top 10s. Like we've seen, and I was looking. I really wanted to bet these guys that are good, like Ross, Kyle Busch, and they don't perform well here. You know, particularly, and their odds are still minus. Like yeah.
Really?
Just because of the weight. Like Like Ross's best finish here was 8th, and he was still minus 180, and I was like, I just can't. You know what I mean? I can't.
It's not enough value.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's no value there, and so Carson Hocevar. If we could hit Carson Hocevar top 10 and Kyle Larson,
That would be insane.
that would
be insane.
we
'Cause
would
we're
be
definitely going to lose our Reddick Bubba.
we might lose our Reddick Bubba.
Guaranteed.
But if we can, so if we hit Larson, Blaney, Carson, I'm coming in here and we're throwing a damn party.
Yeah.
We're throwing a party.
We'd be over even money.
Oh
wouldn't
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. Carson
Wow.
Carson plus 850 is the bread and butter right here.
Yeah.
That's the one
we?
we
I
want
hope
to
that
watch.
happens
I do too.
because I know Corey's not going to finish top 10 either.
There you go. That's 6-3.
That's 6-3.
That's 6-3.
And then we throw a party.
Yeah, then we throw a party. So that's my bets this week. Hopefully,
I feel
we
good
can.
about him. I
Yeah.
mean, the Reddick, as much as shit as I'm giving you, the Reddick Bubba's a toss-up.
It is. It
So-
is. And again,
You go with the favorite. On a toss-up, go with the favorite and dig out.
right now, yes. Right now to dig out, I think that's our move. Again, I may come back here next week and go, that was the dumbest thing I've ever done when Bubba finishes second and Tyler Reddick runs 15th.
Yeah.
You know.
We don't know.
We don't know. So hopefully Reddick qualifies good. If Bubba can win the pole, I can also see Tyler Reddick win the pole though.
Yeah.
I mean, but then again, I personally, when I'm betting on somebody, I don't want them to win the pole, especially my race winner. It just feels like they never win the race.
Yeah, I mean, odds are not in their favor.
Yeah,
For sure.
they're never. So what I would love for Reddick to do is qualify 7th, and then Bubba qualify 12th. You know, and just kind of ride that wave out.
It's
right
going
there.
to be, if that happens, you'll be sweating it.
I'm going to be sweating it either way.
Yeah.
I do think they both had the potential to win the race.
Yeah.
And we'll see. So we'll see.
All right. Well, I like it. I hope the Carson one really is interesting.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'll have my eyes on that.
Okay.
Quickly, we'll do some Texas predict. There's really not much to predict,
No,
but are you happy we're finally going to a mile and a half?
100%.
Isn't it crazy that we're happy we're going to a mile and a half and it's Texas?
Yes.
Turn 1 and 2 is still a shit show.
Yeah.
You still can't do anything there.
Mm-mm.
And we saw
It's
that.
so bad. And again, I'll only preface this was I've ran it on iRacing. I've ran the old track because they have the old track on iRacing, and then they have the new configured track. It's night and day what you can do in those turns, and how shallow you can come out of turn 1.
There's only one lane in 1 and 2, from what I understand.
Yes, it's the bottom. It's literally like the bottom.
And
You
if you
cannot
try to get off it. It's going to be like Bubba and Larson last year.
Yes.
Somebody's turning around.
100%. You just cannot make that work. So, I'm excited about the mile and a half,
Yeah.
and I
You think we'll have any tire wear?
hope, but no.
I
Maybe
don't
just a
know.
tad.
It's got to be. I'm hoping. And I haven't looked at the weather, but I'm hoping it's hot.
Yeah.
And that plays into it a little bit. I hope they play with some air pressure. Probably not, because I think we've learned everything on that. But hopefully we have something. Last year had an exciting finish. You know, Bubba and Larson put it in there on his door.
Yep.
Larson turned. And then on the next restart, Bubba blocked Seabell when he should have blocked Byron and let Byron win. That's a mistake that Bubba will never make again.
Yep, he won't.
But you have to lose him to learn how to win them. So we'll see. I feel, once again, I just feel like Bubba's going to be in that same position.
Okay.
It's just,
I hope he's battling against Reddick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. I hope Carson Hocevar's in 7th.
Yes, exactly.
With a little buffer.
Yeah.
So, well, all right. Well, yeah, it's not too much prediction, but I mean, I just don't know what to predict. I mean, it's at the same time, it's Texas. It's a mile and a half. We haven't been to a mile and a half since Vegas.
Yeah.
Which is insane. That was the third race.
Third race.
So we really don't know what we're going to see. But if I had to say anything, it's probably still going to be a lot of green flag racing. I don't think we'll have anything too crazy. But at the same time, we could. I just don't.
Yeah.
I don't know. But all right, well, we'll go straight into closing. Do you have any stupid questions this week?
I do, actually.
Okay, go ahead.
My stupid question kind of refers back to what we were talking about with Martinsville. It's very stupid. Can you resin the top of the track at Martinsville and add more grip up there to make a second lane?
I think it's too flat.
It's
honestly.
too flat.
I think it's too flat.
No matter how much resin you add.
Because you got to think about it. The only reason the top works at a lot of places is because there's banking. Because the further out you get from that white, let's call it the white line on the inside of the track.
Yeah.
Further out you get from that, that's a longer distance.
100%.
Right? So what makes the top faster? That banking. More throttle time.
I know.
Right.
So I think if you're adding the resin, which would make you stick,
I don't think it's going to make you stick. I think it's still too flat.
Okay.
I think.
That's just my stupid question. Maybe they
Yeah.
can figure out a way, because that race needs 2 lanes in the car that we have now.
I don't
to
think
make it
it's-
more interesting.
I don't think it's a lack of grip that's stopping them from going up there. I think it's just it's so much slower.
Really?
Because it's it's pretty much even. I mean, there's banking for sure, but it's so even.
But we saw Denny, we saw
I
other
think
guys
you
pass,
see-
but we saw Blaney the year that he went to the playoff. We saw him pass on the outside.
I think the passing on the outside there was more because you can pinch somebody's exit off to where you're manipulating. So when you come out of that
Yes.
corner, you know from iRacing,
Yeah,
you have to drift up the track.
you
right?
have to.
So when you're running the
You
outside,
can't turn as
when
hard
you're running
left.
the outside, you're still running slower, but you can pinch them down to where, I mean, imagine running iRacing, coming off that corner and keeping low.
Yeah,
You can't-
instead of going up towards the
Instead
wall.
of feeding it up and putting the power down, they can't put the power down. So you're just not chopping him off, but you're pinching his exit off to where he can't put the throttle down.
So you're just
So
slowing
you're
him
able-
down.
Yeah, so you don't even necessarily have to be faster.
Okay.
You have to be fast enough and a good enough race car driver to go up top, pinch his exit off, get around him, and then hope that he doesn't come back to the bottom
Yeah.
and be fast enough to get into your bumper, which is not a problem on this car now.
Yeah, it's
because we
not.
can't even get there.
Yeah.
I think that's why we see it.
Okay.
That's what I think. I mean, I don't think resin there would
Nothing.
I don't
PJ
think we
one.
do
Nothing.
anything. No, I just don't think we have the banking to
Okay.
do a second lane.
Do you think there is a possibility they reconfigure that to where there's some
no
type of
chance.
banking?
It's
Yeah.
too iconic of a track.
it
I mean,
is.
that's one place that we can say
Will never get
it will
reconfigured.
never get reconfigured because it's definitely the car.
Yeah.
It's definitely
yeah.
the car.
Okay.
So I mean,
That was just a stupid question I thought of.
yeah.
And,
No, and I mean, I'm just answering you from my opinion.
yeah.
Maybe it would not surprise me if NASCAR was like, you know what we're gonna do next year, instead of putting horsepower or changing the tire, we're just gonna put resin.
Yeah. I mean, you could though. You could see it. So
I mean, they've done dumber stuff.
they have.
So, if we got a little bit of time, I had a stupid question
Of
for you.
course, hit me with it.
So, this kind of stems off Richmond. I wanted to ask it last week, but we were having too good of a time,
Yeah,
to
we
be
were.
honest.
We were.
So, everyone was so mad about the Denny call on the restart,
Yes.
right? Pissed.
Mm-hmm.
Did you? I know you did. I know you watched more of it than I did. Did you watch the Tennessee Purdue game?
Yeah.
Okay,
Watched all
was
of
that,
it.
Was that not poor officiating?
It was horrible.
Horrible, right?
Horrible.
Horrible.
You can't tell me that a dude that's 7'2", that played 38 minutes of a 40-minute basketball game had 2 fouls with 7 minutes left in it.
And
I'm
that's
not
just-
saying that he should have fouled out, but come on.
And that's just one example, right? The last Super Bowl,
Yeah.
was that not determined by a missed call,
It was.
right?
Yeah.
The Super Bowl champion
Mm-hmm.
determined by it. Okay.
Yeah.
So Denny won by, let's call it a missed call.
A missed
right?
call.
And people refer to the rule book. Are there not things in the rules that were missed in the Super Bowl
Every
or
time.
the Tennessee game
Every
or whatever game is on tonight?
Yeah.
There'll be a blown call. So, not that that's an excuse for a blown call, but what I want to ask is, so that happened in the Tennessee game, right? People bitched, right? And
Mhm.
rightfully so.
Yeah.
How many people did you say say I am never watching NCAA basketball again?
0.
Right? How many
Yeah.
people after Super Bowl was like, I am never watching the NFL again?
0.
Why the fuck? Why the absolute fuck do people get so pissed off that they're like, because Denny jumped the restart and won the race, I am never watching NASCAR again. Now, whether they actually don't or whatever, but NASCAR is the only sport, and maybe it's just because our fan base is so small that it's a wavering interest. Like, maybe all these people, NASCAR isn't their number one sport to begin with,
Mm-hmm.
and you can't expect it to be as few of fans as we have. But NASCAR is the only sport that I know of that when something goes wrong like that, and it's not even a missed call, people people are like, I am never watching this shit again.
Yeah.
Am I wrong? Or am I
No,
imagining
you're
that?
not wrong. And the only thing that I would say about it is because everyone, I would say 50% of our fan base is probably over the age of 50. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, they should remember all the shit we talked about before.
I don't think they
like
do.
Mark Martin.
Yeah.
Getting penalized and getting screwed out of a championship because Jack Roush was his owner, because he drove a Ford, because he wasn't Dale Earnhardt.
Yeah.
Like, why did they not stop watching then? I mean, shit used to be way
I think it's
more fucked up than it was now.
It's because they didn't have social media then. Social media
Okay.
has changed the game of, and I think NASCAR fans particularly have realized how much they can influence the sport. They have.
Yeah,
Like-
especially NASCAR is small and as loud as we can be.
Yes. If you get 80% of fans on one thing, oh my gosh. You would make NASCAR believe that no one is going to watch the race if you don't change something. I think that's the whole reason they reconfigured Atlanta. Everyone
you're right.
Everyone wanted more super speedways. Make another super speedway. We have to have one. We have to have one or we'll quit watching. And NASCAR doesn't call their bluff at all. They just give into it.
Yeah.
And so I think social media, which has changed a lot of things everywhere, but particularly the sport of NASCAR, those corporate guys do not stay off of it enough to commit to their roots, to go, we have to stick to our guns here and do what we want. But then again, we say that, thank the Lord that they didn't do that at Richmond with the call on the
Right.
the competition caution.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or the
Yeah.
non-competitive stop the second time. Like,
Yeah.
thank the Lord they were on Twitter, because it would have irritated fans.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like,
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword.
it is. And to me, I don't know what's going on in their minds, but they gotta not get a fan in there, you know what I mean? But get someone that's just logical and
That's
looks
the
at
thing with
something.
me. I mean, it's got to be logical. And,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't. Maybe that's a loud minority of people that are just pissing me off because I'm
Mhm.
on social media.
Yep.
Also bitching sometimes, but it's like, if I bitch on social media, I don't expect anything to change, right? And if I say something on social media, even if I'm in the minority, I don't expect to sway people's opinion, right?
No.
But it's just like there's this group of people, and I think it is an age bracket, honestly, but
Yeah.
there's like this group of people that get so pissed off, and I'm like, I can draw you so many parallels to other sports that don't piss you off to the point to where you stop watching, and then it's like, well, just stop watching.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, if you're gonna be like that, stop watching.
And it's the new fans they don't have that background of those old things, so they can't bring those to light to the people that are on social media.
Right.
Because all the things that you see on social media are more recent things, or the best finish at Atlanta, you know what I mean, or the best finish at Daytona, or Dale Earnhardt winning, at whatever track it was, and you're like,
Yeah.
okay, I can remember that moment, but you don't remember the Mark Martins, and you don't remember these missed calls per se, because the people that are, I wouldn't say proficient, but are higher up in the social media hierarchy, they're not bringing those things to light. So it's poor journalism per se, and as if like you could Bob, how do you say his last name? Pockrass.
Yeah.
Bob Pockrass could easily defend Denny by pulling a video that we've seen that goes, here's this right here of this guy doing the exact same thing that you guys love, and nothing was called, or something, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And those guys who have that influence don't do that. And so it literally, in the minds of a 50-year-old, memory is, you can't remember everything.
Right.
You can't.
Right.
You can't.
And you're only going to remember what you want to remember.
Exactly. You're
Yeah.
going to only remember the highlights, the things that happened that you enjoyed. And in that situation, when something happened 10 years ago that was literally the exact same thing, and they're not Denny fans now, to me, that's the biggest change that has happened in the sport, as just social media being so prevalent of NASCAR. And I'm not saying that NASCAR should or shouldn't listen to it. That's a whole nother thing.
Right.
But they are right now. They
Yeah.
listen to practically everything that comes out. If something is trending NASCAR, you can't tell me that it doesn't come up in a board meeting
No,
that they're
for
talking
sure.
about.
Yeah,
It comes up.
the sample size is so small.
Yes.
But I guess that's my stupid question because it just
Mhm.
pisses me off because I've been just real quick. I mean, I've been in Tennessee ball games where we have booed Tennessee
Yeah.
for sucking so bad, right?
Yes.
But then we all come back the next week.
100%.
And it's like,
Yeah.
why can't we have that mentality? I mean, I'm not saying everything is great in NASCAR right now, but I'm going to keep I mean, they're going to have to do some pretty ridiculous shit for me to say.
They're going to have to put 9 super speedways on the
Right, yeah.
on
or
the
like
roster.
switch to all electric
Yeah.
or just something
Yeah.
ridiculous. And they're not
Yeah.
going to do any of that. So,
No.
I don't know. That's just my stupid question. So, all right. Well, you got a favorite memory of Texas?
I do not.
Okay.
I did. I tried to.
It's
to get
very
one.
forgettable race.
I literally the one that came to mind was kind of the one we touched on, and that was like the first blowouts we had in the Gen 7, and to me that was the coolest thing ever. And it was literally like watching, like, is that Chevy gonna blow a tire?
Yeah.
I mean, it
was
was
very
every Chevy.
Yeah, and it was very similar to Bristol, where it's like
Mhm.
they didn't know what was happening,
They had no idea.
so that makes it better.
Yeah.
I guess my favorite. I kind of grew up going to that
Mhm.
race, so I have lots of good memories. Just of going, but I'll be honest. Even before they reconfigured it, as a young kid, I don't remember that ever being a super exciting race.
Wow.
But also, that's just kind of how NASCAR was back then. At its peak, I'm telling you, I'm not sticking up for this Martinsville race we just had because it sucked. But at NASCAR's peak, when everyone said it was better, like, it was not that great
Oof.
as far as racing, right?
Yeah.
But like the superstars and the fan experience and just the absolute stardom of
Yeah.
the sport. I mean, it was great.
If we went to Martinsville, our rating would have been probably 2 points higher.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean, it just would have been.
Yeah,
So
I mean, we were going there back when, we had season tickets and you had to lock in.
exactly.
You had to
Yeah.
prepay. There was 150,000 people there. It was fanfare.
Yeah.
The midway was insane. It was like going to a carnival
Mhm.
outside the track. But I don't. I mean, Jeff Gordon never won there when we went, so that sucked because that was my
Yep.
favorite driver. But I just don't remember anything super crazy ever happening.
Mhm.
But it was a great time. I mean, they hauled ass.
yeah. Yeah.
They absolutely hauled ass back then. So, all right, we'll finish this up. Where are you watching this week?
Where am I watching?
Yep.
I'm not sure yet. I guess back at my house. I'm actually going. I think I'm going to a rodeo this weekend.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Okay.
in Jackson. So, but I'll be back Sunday before the race. Race is at 3,
Yeah.
3:30, somewhere in there. So, I'll be back around 12. So,
Okay.
probably just watching at home.
Nice.
If you wanna stop by, or I don't know what you're doing. So.
I'm going to the race.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot.
Yeah,
you keep
actually-
saying that, and I just
Yeah,
don't believe
I
it
don't
because you're
believe
still
I
here.
don't believe it either.
Yeah.
No, like I said, we grew up going there,
Mhm.
and my sister kind of wanted to have a sentimental experience, and
That's awesome.
she put the whole thing together. So
Well,
me,
good.
my dad, and my sister are going. I think I'm going to catch the high limit race, the sprint car race.
Okay.
So that's Kyle Larson's series.
Yep.
We talked about Casey Kane running in it. So
You're
they're-
gonna have some big names there. Yeah.
Yeah, Brad Sweet, Casey Kane, Kyle Larson. If you're a big sprint car guy, Rico Abreu, guys like
Mhm.
that.
Yeah.
But SMI also owns a dirt track outside of. So that's the other thing about SMI that we didn't get into. They own drag strips, dirt tracks,
Yeah.
all within the
Thunder
same
Valley.
Yeah,
I mean,
all within
yeah.
the same property.
Yeah.
So they own a dirt track there. Hasn't been much sprint car racing there ever, and I think that's part of Kyle Larson's
Is it
influence.
half a mile? Is it a
I don't
quarter?
even know.
Oh, you don't even know. Okay.
I've been there when I was super little, but
Okay.
Kyle Larson, I think that was kind of his influence on that series that him and Brad Sweet own. Going to tracks like that, it works perfect for him. He's at Indy all week. We didn't even mention that.
Yeah.
P2, fastest lap at Indy practice,
That's wild.
open test. Not surprised, generational talent. So he's going to be there for like 3 days. He's going to go to. They just canceled their Friday night race in Arkansas because of floods. Saturday night they'll be at the Texas dirt track right outside the super speedway, and he'll probably win that race. And then Sunday we hope he wins.
That's
and we
exactly
get,
right. We hope he wins. We hope Blaney beats Chase. We hope Tyler Reddick beats Bubba.
Yeah.
And we hope Carson Osenbar finishes 10th.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll be there. cautiously optimistic that
There
it'll
you
be a
go.
halfway decent race. But
Hey, like you said, I'm curious. I can't wait to see your rating versus my rating.
yeah, just because I'm there.
Yeah,
right?
because you're there. Because
Yeah.
I will say, like, as far as, and we can close on this. When you go to a NASCAR race, your experience is way better than just watching it on TV.
Yeah.
No matter how bad the race is, visually, you know, when
Just
you're
hearing it, smelling it, everything.
yes, it's
Yep.
so much better. You're just in that atmosphere. Everyone's glad to be there. So, let's hope they put on a show.
Yeah,
Let's do it.
I
Let's change the
think so.
narrative. Why
Yeah.
can't they put on a show? You know?
Yeah, but I do not want to come in here next week still bitching. so.
Exactly. Exactly.
let's get done,
and
but-
because we've talked about it before, this next stretch of races could be rough.
It
you
could
know,
be,
and it
yeah.
started this past week with Martinsville.
Yeah.
We kind of knew.
Yeah.
So Martinsville, Texas, Talladega.
Talladega, which
Yeah.
could be a shit show.
It could be. It could be. I mean,
It could be great.
It could be
We don't
great.
know.
So,
But we'll be here talking about it either way. so.
all right, man. Hey, thank you guys for watching. Come back with us. Like, subscribe, comment. We didn't talk about it, but next week we'll probably be doing some type of giveaway. We don't exactly know yet, but we are going to be doing some giveaways. So please
And
share.
You will have to listen.
Yes,
to be
you
the
will.
winner.
You will have to know. It will be in tune, so it's not going to happen minute 3. So you can't just listen to the first 7 minutes, even if you do that or not. But we appreciate everyone that makes it to the end. We appreciate you just clicking on it. Share it with your friends. We do this just for fun.
Yep,
so
absolutely.
I mean, we
Absolutely.
just have a good time doing it. Trying to get better with the audio. Hope it sounded good today. And awesome, man. Thank you.
Yep. Appreciate it.